Tonight on CTV News, who and what killed over 20 sheep at Canterbury farms? Are they doing their job or are they a nuisance? Window washers face massive fines. And the naked truth, a community in Rolleston celebrates 60 years of going nude.
Broadcasting across Canterbury, from the CTV studio, this is First at 5.
Good evening. The mystery continues into the killing of more than 20 sheep on Canterbury farms over the weekend. But just a warning, you may find some of these pictures disturbing. Chelsea Daniels reports.
2 dogs have been shot and taken to Christchurch Animal Control following the slaughter of more than 20 sheep over the weekend. Property owners on Buchanan's Road in Hay woke up to a grisly surprise on Saturday morning as they found nearly all of their sheep badly hurt or dead. The council's animal management staff attended the scene where they assisted farmer Josh Olican with his sheep.
Just noticed one of their sheep not looking so good in the paddock where they keep them, and went out to investigate further and saw that there was quite a lot of carnage. There was pieces of sheep flying around, lots of dead sheep already, but then also quite a number of sheep in distress and various states of damage and harm, and a lot of blood, and generally just a bit of a pretty horrific sight, really.
Josh says the dogs were shot on Saturday afternoon and taken to animal control. They suspect the dogs involved must have been covered in blood following the attacks, and the owners would be fully aware of this.
Well, I think it would still be good if they're not, if the dogs, if these are the dogs that have been, the ones that have been killed, are ones that are responsible, and if they're missing them, and if they're not able to be identified, through any markings on the dogs, and it'd be good for the owner just to come forward and take responsibility for them.
He says it's been an unfortunate event for all involved.
No good can come out of any of this, We've lost sheep, someone may have lost their pet dogs, At the end of the day, no one matches, there's no real one, isn't it? It's just, cute animals, and that's not fun for anyone.
It has been confirmed that the council received a call this morning from another farmer that lives near Buchanan's Road, advising that he had shot dead 2 dogs. Council staff have since collected the animals and identified the owners. The council has commenced enforcement action on the dogs' owners. The council's animal management team cannot fully verify whether the instances are related due to insufficient evidence. Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
Windscreen washers in the city are becoming a growing problem for motorists, particularly in Christchurch, but just what is in place to get the young kids off the streets?
Time might be running out for car windscreen washers. Police have fielded a growing number of complaints from motorists unhappy with the unsolicited and sometimes violent approaches of teen washers. Police say washers have become an increasing nuisance at a number of key intersections around the CBD, Linwood, Avonside and Main North Road. Motorists are being asked to record details of washers who, if caught, will be given a month's warning to either stop or get a council-issued commercial licence. If prosecuted, unlicensed washers could face a fine of up to $20,000. Police are concerned the washers are predominantly from teenage youth gangs and could start turf wars with the rising number of vehicles on Christchurch roads. There has already been at least one reported attack of a motorist who responded to a group of washers who broke one of his mirrors. Some teens have already received court summons after being caught for illegally washing windscreens, and petrol stations around the areas have reported an increase in stolen squeegees. The council has said it will support police moves to reduce the presence of unlawful windscreen washers.
Investigations into the death of a woman in a motel room have entered their 3rd day, but so far her death remains unexplained.
Investigations are continuing into the unexplained death of a woman in her 30s. The woman was found dead in a room at Terra Viva Motel in Beeley Avenue just before midday on Saturday. Her body wasn't removed from the unit until Sunday, with detailed scene examinations being carried out since then. Police say a post-mortem was carried out today. The woman's death has so far been unexplained, and police say they will not provide any further information until a formal identification process has been completed and her family notified. The motel remains open for business.
Burial space in Banks Peninsula is getting harder to find, and our locals are now asking the council to find more land in Littleton and Akaroa. Jared McCulloch reports.
Room to bury loved ones in Akaroa is proving difficult, with plots being filled and no space for the dead. The Akaroa Wairero Community Board members are concerned about the lack of burial space in Akaroa cemeteries, with the group putting forth a submission to the long-term plan hearings last month. The board wanted the Christchurch City Council to review their cemeteries master plan, adopted back in 2013, to find a way to keep loved ones at home in Akaroa.
We've got no space other than prepaid plots and second interments left in Akaroa, and that's in all of the cemeteries that have been identified in the cemeteries master plan.
And it's not just Akaroa with limited plots, but Littleton is having the same problems.
To the two Littleton cemeteries, which are more or less full, I think, and there was a new cemetery built in Diamond Harbour that was supposed to take a lot of interments going into the future, but it's been found that there are drainage issues, and I think there's a project in the long-term plan somewhere to address that.
The plan looks at all the cemeteries around the city, identifying the number of areas for burial spaces and what should be done. But Richardson says time is running out.
We did some time ago ask for a review of the cemetery master's plan. It was adopted in 2013, and a reply that we had, it was not due for review. We're quite happy to get together as a community and find a solution that would be appropriate to allow our members of our community to continue to rest where they want to, and that's Akaroa. They don't want to go to devotionals, they don't want to go to Wainui. You want to rest where you choose to want to be.
However, Councillor Glenn Livingston says there's more and more cremations these days than burials, and questions whether or not it's a top priority at this stage. However, Richardson says that's not the case.
It continues to be critical for Akaroa. We have not that I'm aware of any special area for ashes, and that certainly people are still requesting burials.
Anne Smith believes the location of a burial is important.
People do want to be buried or have their ashes kept in the community they lived and belonged, and I'm not sure that the cemeteries master plan enables that for all communities.
A plan has been put in place, but it doesn't target the issue around space and finding areas to lay those to rest.
The conservation plan is more about heritage and looking after those cemeteries in that sort of vein, rather than having plots and areas available.
And the community board has some ideas.
But there may be ways that we could perhaps look at a wall that's put in somewhere, tidy up the cemetery, remove some of the old vegetation that is a bit scruffy, and just look at the best way of providing an area for further burials.
The council will now look into the issue, with the local body having the legal obligation to make sure there is enough space. Jared McCulloch, CTV News.
And sort of come here on CTV News, getting naked in Rolleston. Welcome back to CTV News. She's a cooking icon, and up until the earthquakes, her cafe and cooking school in Oxford attracted people near and far, but declining customers has made her business go bust.
Cantabrians are mourning the loss of local foodie icon Seeger's Cafe in Oxford after the cafe and joint cooking school closed its doors last week. Celebrity chef Jo Seeger owned the business with her husband Ross. She said the business had struggled to survive post-earthquakes and thanks everyone for the wonderful support. Jo mentioned in a blog post at the end of June that they were selling the business. She says that the pair would love someone with passion and flair for this sort of operation to buy it. The pair are looking forward to the next decade, saying that they're staying local. Jo opened Seeger's at Oxford in order to share her passion for New Zealand food and wine and to provide the tools to create great meals with minimum effort.
Some wintry magic was on display for Kaipoi residents as part of the township's 10th Arts Expo this weekend. 2 large frozen sculptures were on display outside the Blackwell's department store with a live crafting demonstration taking place to celebrate the occasion. It took the artists most of the day to create the unique structures, which only last around 24 hours before they melt away. Now to our feature story tonight. For many people in society, it's something they wouldn't even think about, but for one community in Rolleston, they don't think twice about it. In fact, they love it. It's a way of life. The Pine Glad's naturalists are celebrating 60 years of existence, and Jared McCulloch was brave enough to head along for their 60th birthday.
This is Pine Glad's Naturist Club, and they're celebrating a milestone.
It's a long time to be a naturist.
But it's a special day, marking a special occasion. 60 years, a Diamond Jubilee. It's one of the oldest running naturist clubs in the country, first established back in the 1950s as the Canterbury Sun and Health Club. This is Chris. She's president of Pine Glades, taking up the challenge for now 2 terms, but she's been a member for over 20 years.
I met my now husband and he was a member and he brought me out here and the rest's history. It's just a wonderful place, wonderful friends, really friendly atmosphere.
Tucked away in this secluded yet peaceful site in Rolleston sees a group of people who love to bear it all, a social place.
When you're nude or naked, you're all on a level playing field. You don't have any preconceived ideas. Some thin people, some larger people, short, tall, we're just people.
The land was bought for only £90, and they've cared for and looked after it ever since. It was a bustling place back in its heyday, up to 500 members at one stage. This footage shows the keen naturists clearing the once occupied land and living what they call a relaxed lifestyle. Here you can see a billy can boiling, a symbol here at Pine Glades. The one that's being used today is the exact one in this footage, this many years on. Men, women, children, families, they spent their time here in weekends and even weekdays. These days it's much quieter, with membership now closer to around 200.
Members that decide to move away for various reasons, they may move out of town or just decide that they don't want to be a part of Pine Glades anymore. But no, it's a wonderful place for families, children. We don't have many children as members now, but in the past the place was full of kids.
But she says there's a lot of memories here at the club.
At our dinner last night we remembered those that have passed away and that had done so much to have our grounds looking the way they are now.
Where I'm standing here is the most historic part of the site. It's known as Gloria Ave. It starts about 50 metres behind Alex, our cameraman there, and goes all the way up to the end of this 18-hectare site. Around me are huts. They were dropped off here in the 1960s when this first was open, but they're much older than that and made by carpentry students, but they're quite unique. In fact, as you take a look at this one just around here, there are doors on either side where it used to rotate and get the sunlight throughout the day. And here is that stretch of road back in the day, a clear site with 36 benches from the Christchurch Sanatorium, all of them close to 100 years old. Meet Ralph. He's a life member here at Pine Glades.
I'm 87.
87, and how long have you been part of the club?
I've been here for over 40 years.
He's been a naturist well before the club, enjoying the sunshine in the summer months in his own backyard to get himself a nice natural tan. He then went on a holiday to enjoy the hot pools in Hamner when a man came up to him asking about what club he was from.
I didn't know what he's talking about. He said, "You're obviously a member of a Sun Club, otherwise you wouldn't have an all-over tan." So I explained the situation. He said, "Well, if you enjoy that sort of thing, I think you ought to be a member."
And so he did. A week later, he was signed up and he's never looked back. He has his own personalised hut. He used to look after it with a friend. But his friend got married and Ralph, well, he's maintained the upkeep since, saying it has everything he needs.
And so it's got a small fridge and a stove for cooking, radio, and I've even got a little TV there. So it's a home away from home.
They've encountered some issues both at home and in Wellington. The government at the time in the 70s had their eyes on the land with plans to build a satellite city. Land was even purchased elsewhere for the group to pack their bags and move to, but it never happened. The government changed their minds. And just 5 years ago, with more and more neighbours popping up either side of their secluded paradise, developers wanted the land too, catering for New Zealand's fastest growing district. Again, it never happened. However, Chris says it's a place of luxury.
We've got spa, sauna, swimming pool, sports fields, as in Mini 10, which is a naturist form of tennis. We're very sports-minded, so we're not just lying out in the sun saying, worshipping the sun. We're here, we're playing sport, we're doing the gardens. Yeah, we're quite an active club.
The numbers have decreased over the years as people get busier with their lives, but Chris isn't concerned.
We haven't got those younger people. When I did first join, we had a lot of 18 to 25-year-olds. It's quite different now, people's working environments. Just everything's changed. The shops are open all the time. People love going to the mall.
She says people have been curious of the club with their own ideas of what goes on here, and she says it's not what you think.
When I talk to people about being a naturist, they've got a preconceived idea that the minute we land on the grounds, we strip off. It's a cold day, it's the middle of winter today. None of us are going to strip off. We're not stupid.
But today is a time to celebrate, with the undressing of the sculpture from Ralph to make it official.
I think it was an honour. I'm not quite sure why they asked me, apart from my age. But anyway, it was an honour.
A group of friends with memories that will last forever.
Let's come and have some afternoon tea. Come and join us inside, everyone.
Jared McCulloch, CTV News.
And if you want to get in touch with us here at CTV News, if you've got a news story, you can always email the team, news@ctv.co.nz. And don't forget, we now stream this broadcast live every weeknight at ctv.co.nz. We'll still to come on this broadcast, local sports and the region's weather. Welcome back to CTV News. Now here's Gordon with the roundup of the weekend sport.
Cashmere Technical have kept their bid for a third straight Chatham Cup title alive with a win over mainland Premier League rivals Coastal Spirit. The weekend's round of 16 saw the two surviving mainland section teams square off at Garrick Park, with Cashmere taking the early lead through a Tom Schwartz penalty. The second half brought goals from Aaron Clapham and Sho Matheson as Tech sealed the deal. The team are now just 3 wins away from completing what would be a historic 3 straight titles in the country's most prolific knockout football competition. Well, to ice hockey now, and the Canterbury Red Devils had to settle for 1 win in their weekend's double-header. The Red Devils played host to the top-of-the-table Southern Stampede, with the Southerners showing their dominance in Saturday's game, setting a league record for straight victories. The Stampede's 7-4 win was their 9th straight this season, setting a record as they continued the form which has seen them hold a commanding lead in this year's competition. The defending champion Canterbury side struck back yesterday though, showing great determination to get a vital win in overtime to well and truly keep their hopes of a 4th straight national title alive. And finally tonight to club rugby, where the weekend saw what turned out to be a preview of the Hawkins Trophy semi-finals, with the coming weekend's playoff contenders taking on one another in the last matches of the round-robin play. Top qualifiers and Hawkins Cup winners Lincoln University had no trouble disposing of New Brighton 39 points to 10, while Marist Albion, who will be the other home semi-final team this weekend, defeated Christchurch 32 points to 17. With Christchurch and New Brighton finishing 3rd and 4th, it means that the weekend's games will be repeated this Saturday to see who will make this year's final. You're up to date with the latest in local sport. I'm Gordon Findlater for CTV Sport.
And now it's time for the region's weather.
Kia ora Canterbury. Well, we have been experiencing severe frost over the last few days, most places getting down to -4 in the mornings and colder, especially for the inland basins. But let's take a look at today's highs. Twizel on 7 degrees, Geraldine and Temuka 9 degrees for both of you. Taking a look to central Canterbury, 9 degrees for Christchurch and Methven. A little bit cooler though for Ashburton on 8 degrees, 10 degrees for Leeston and Akaroa there. Moving further north now, Kaikoura, 9 degrees for you and Colvin today, 10 degrees for Cheviot, Amberley and Rangiora, and 8 degrees for Hanmer Springs in Oxford. Quite a bit warmer than it was last week. Over to the Alpine region, just 6 degrees for Lake Tekapo today. Let's take a look at tomorrow's weather now for the major centres. Timaru, cloudy tomorrow with a few northeasterly winds coming through, bringing in that warmth. 10 degrees is your high and 4 for your morning. Over to Ashburton now, a very similar picture here with these northeasterlies coming through and an overcast day. There is a chance of showers though in the evening. Looking to Christchurch now, sun out a little bit, but we are experiencing high cloud tomorrow with these northeasterlies coming through. And over to Kaikoura, 12 degrees is your high tomorrow with these northeasterly winds as well. Let's take a look at other areas for tomorrow's temperatures. Looking to Twizel first, 10 degrees for Twizel, 12 degrees for everyone else here, South Canterbury. Moving to central Canterbury now. Akaroa, 12 degrees for you, a little bit warmer for Leeston on 13 and 11 degrees for Darfield and Methven, as we can see these northeasterly winds really coming through, warming the temperatures up for us. Looking north now, Hanmer Springs, 9 degrees for you, 12 degrees for Cheviot, Amberley and Rangiora. Again, these northeasterly winds, we're seeing patchy cloud and sun for most places. And over to the Alpine region, 9 degrees for Lake Tekapo there. Let's take a look at the upcoming days now. Wednesday, we're seeing quite a bit warmer for these temperatures, which is good. Mostly overcast for most places and a little bit of rain there for Christchurch and Kaikoura. Flipping over to Thursday, it's looking good Thursday. The sun is coming out and look at that, 15 degrees for Christchurch and Ashburton. Looking to other areas, we're seeing a similar picture across the board. Wednesday, we're seeing these northeasterly winds coming through and a little bit of rain and cloudy patches for most places, a little bit overcast. However, as we flip to Thursday, it does get better, clear skies and light winds for most places. Could be quite a nice day on the horizon and those temperatures are warming up. So as we can see over the next coming days, those northeasterly winds are coming through, making it quite a bit warmer than it was last week. For now though, that's your weather update for Monday.
And before we go tonight, if you didn't get a chance to check out the beautiful lights at the Christchurch Botanic Gardens, we leave you tonight with images over the weekend. Good night.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.